Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and today we're going to take a look at recent sales on eBay. All of these are auctions, I believe, for mint on cards. We've got some other kind of oddball items that AFA/CIB had. I actually bid on one of these in the thumbnail, and I bet you can guess which one, and I finished second. But lots of really cool items out there. I didn't want to overspend on it, and I'll show you why here towards the end of the video, but just some really awesome items and some big time prices. So first, before we get to the CIB AFA items, there were some other early card backs that sold in an auction, and I think I included some of these in a what to buy video. And the first one is a 12-back B C3PO, AFA 80 with the label up top. And this was a punched example, no price sticker, nice clear blister, 80, 85, 85. So very nice example, 12-back B, 1166 on that one. And, I didn't see anything wrong with it. That seems like a pretty good price to me. I would pay that in a heartbeat. I try to avoid buying ones with the Clearview label up top, but at some point, the price, it doesn't matter, right? It's a 12-back B C3PO. That's a pretty good deal, I think, for what that was. Here was the one that I thought was another good deal. This was a 12B. Actually, no, this is one where I was like, ooh, I really like that. And then I forgot that this is the one that had the frosting on the head of the Vader. So this is a 12B Vader, AFA 80, straight 80s for the subscore, price sticker, and it looks like an unpunched example. But unfortunately, it had frosting on the head of the Vader, which, I've heard mixed reviews mixed results from you guys, where you can put it out in the sunlight, you can put it underneath a UV lamp, and some of you have said, no, it didn't do anything. It's still there. And then others of you have said, no, I've had great success, and the sunlight killed the mold. And that's what that stuff is, frosting. It's really mold, okay? It's like how in Florida, when I go visit my aunt, and I go into the bathroom and there is an obvious cockroach. He's like, no, that's not a cockroach. That's a palmetto bug. Aunt Barb, it's a cockroach, okay? It's the same thing. Frosting is really mold, okay? That's what it is. And again, in certain situations, UV lights, sunlight, it can come off. Sometimes it doesn't. So that held the price back a little bit. But $14.32, is that a fair price? Probably for an unpunched 12B. Especially if you can get that mold off of there. Next up was an R2-D2 12B AFA 80 Plus. Very nice example, unpunched, with the Kmart price sticker, clear blister. That's pretty much perfect. I mean, that's a really nice example for 2025. And that seems like a lot of money, but it's an 80 plus. And I mean, we've seen some 12Cs go for $1,500 to $1,600 here lately. So for a 12B, unpunched, AFA 80 plus, that's probably about right. Again, you're talking to somebody that doesn't follow 12 backs or even really 20 backs that closely. So I'm only going on, Hakes or Heritage or the occasional 12 or 21 back or 20 back that we cover here that are on eBay. But it's in the ballpark, right? 2025 seems to be in the ballpark relative to the 12C that we just covered about a week or two ago. Next up was a 12C Chewbacca. That one sold for $11.95. AFA 80. Punched example, no price sticker. Again, probably about right. I mean, that seems kind of, pretty much any 12 back, it's going to be over $1,000. And I do think that the label type, the AFA label type, probably held the price back by a couple $100. And you could always send it back in too. I mean, I've done that before. I've sent stuff back in with the Clearview label to get the classic label on the inside. And their turnaround times for reholdering or recasing is pretty fast. I sent some items in to be recased along with a item to be loose graded. I got an Obi-Wan Kenobi Lily Letty that I got from Chris W. over on Rogue 5 Toys on Facebook. And so I was sending that into AFA, and I was like, well, I'll send some items to get recased while I'm at it. And they did say that, hey, if you separated these two orders, you could get your recasings back in 30 days. Because the grading is going to take 4 months. And I said, just put it all together. I don't care. I don't care when they come back. I don't care. So they kept it all together because I didn't want to pay shipping twice. But if you just send in something to be recased, it's like 30 days. It's really, really quick. Next up was a 12C Death Squad Commander. That one sold for $871, AFA 80 plus. That's kind of more in line for a 12C that I'm used to. And I don't know what video it was, but I remember saying it because there was a 12C that sold that was it might have been an AFA 80 or 80 plus. I don't remember what the grade was, but it sold for crazy money, like $1,200-$1,300. And I was like, whoa, that seems high. And this is more kind of in line with what I'm expecting for the Death Squad Commander. I've seen 2 or 3 data points this year. 12XC Death Squad Commander in high grade go for sub $1,000, between usually $850 and $950. And so this is kind of in line with that. And I that's kind of back to reality. But I know that we had one on the video on the channel here recently that I covered that was $200 or $400 more than this number. So don't overpay, because it's a pretty common item, 12C Death Squad Commander. Here was an AFA 80 20 back eye secret Star Wars action figure Stormtrooper, and the Stormtrooper looked pretty perfect. It looked pretty nice. 80, 80, 85. That looks like an 85 to me for the Stormtrooper. I don't see any yellowing on him at all. And it was labeled 20 back eye. You can see the back there. It's got secret Star Wars action figure sticker there. That's really nice. That's a really nice example for the Stormtrooper. Punched example, no price sticker. $865 on that. I thought that was a good deal too. That's a price I would have paid. Archival case, AFA 80. Now we got some ungraded 20 and 21 backs. This is a 20 back. It's labeled X, which usually means that the sticker on the back has been torn off. I don't know. Let's see. Now, maybe the 20X has the rocket firing backpack. I always thought the 20X meant that they ripped the sticker off, or maybe the sticker was missing. I don't know. But this is the R5D4, pretty rough shape. I mean, not perfect. Probably like a 75 at best would be my guess. But it is a 20 back R5D4, and it seems like that's one I want, right? I've got the 21A regular. I've got the 21A red bar, but I want to get a 20 back R5D4 with the Boba Fett offer on there. That's one I would like to get, and they're always expensive. There was an 80 or 80 plus on Hakes 2 or 3 sessions ago that went for stupid. I mean, just ungodly money. I mean, it was out of my budget within like a week before it even closed. So $1,500-$1,600 seems to be for a high grade example. So I'm gonna have to nut up and just pay a lot of money for one if that's something I really want, because this one was like 75-ish grade and it sold for $945. So it's an expensive item. Here was a 21 back R5D4. Again, not perfect, but pretty good shape overall. I don't know what's going on there with that stamp. There was a weird stamp right there. Oh, I see. It was $1.49, and they slapped a 99-cent stamp on there because it wasn't selling. Can you believe that somebody picked this up at retail for 99 cents? Ridiculous. Ridiculous, I tell you. That one sold for $5.35, which I thought was a good deal there. Again, I'm assuming that this is legit. It looks legit at first blush, but you know how I am not the guy to ask about, is this legit or is this fake? Because the fakes are so good nowadays. But sometimes I get on eBay and I'm like, that looks, I can't place why, but it looks fake to me. And this is one where I'm like, does it have fake edgeware? So I think it's fine, but it's just certain photos, the lighting, or maybe they patinaed it with their editing software. It just looks a little off kilter to me sometimes, and I'm like, is that real or not? And it's probably just because the seller sharpened the photos or something. But anyway, $5.35 seems like a pretty good deal on that one. Same seller also had this one, same stamp. So, I think these are all legit. And so this one had a $199, and this one, oh, it did have the $199. So it was $199, and then they dropped it to $149. So I had it backwards. Folks. I'm a little slow today. Little slow. I didn't get a lot of sleep. So it was $199, and then they dropped it to $149. That's the deal there. So clearly this seller bought all of these at retail at the same spot. But here's the Power Droid. That's another one. That's another one I kind of want. I'm not going to lie. I'm afraid to start a Power Droid run because there's so many different card backs you can get for it, and I don't have the space. I'd rather just stick to R5, That one sold for $482, which I thought was a pretty good deal. Probably about 75 grade shape based on It's mainly the card backs. They have a lot of edge wear around it. You know, it's all minor, but it's enough edge wear that I think it gets the 75. Maybe it gets an 80. I don't know. Depends on who's grading it. Next up was Walrus Man. Again, it looks like he's got the same sticker there on the side of the blister there. Yeah, it does. 149. I don't see the stamp, though. The 199 stamp. That was a nice example. 462. All of these sold for really good prices. Really, really good prices. So that was the Walrus Man. And then he had the Death Squad Commander. 21 back with the, or 20 back with the Boba Fett offer. And that one looks like it had no stickers on that one, no price stickers, but it had some weird kind of scuffing on the top left there. And that one sold for $511, which I think is fair, just given the condition. It's really just the cards on all of these. The blisters are all crystal clear. Figures look to be in good shape. I think it's just really the card backs for a lot of these that maybe weren't stored properly. Who knows? But anyway, that one sold for $511.51. All right, now we're going to dig into the CIB/AFA items. All of these sold at auction on July 7th. I did bid on one. I finished second, and I'll tell you why I didn't bid high on it. And I did a lot of research before I bid from Hake's closed listings. And when it comes to these types of items that are really tough to find or you don't see on eBay often and you're trying to figure out price points, you can search Facebook, like in certain groups that are very big, like Deal or No Deal or Echo Base or whatever, and you can search past postings. It goes all the way back for like 20 years. So that's one method. The easier method is just go to Hake's, because you can search all the closed listings on Hake's, and that's what I usually use for high-end items like the one I bid on and lost. I want to get that clear. I did not win, but I did finish second. So here was a mail-away action display stand, still in the sealed, shipper box. I mean, again, I don't know why anyone would want this. It's really cool. Don't get me wrong. It's a cool item, but do it like the way Chris did it. Chris W. had one of these where he had this shipper box, but then he had the display stand displayed next to it or above it or however he did it, and then CAS graded all of it together. That's the way to do it, because then you actually get the actual art from the display stand. Instead, you buy this for $865 and you're staring at a cardboard box. I mean, I guess if you're an investor, you just want to invest in something and slap it in a closet, but I just don't understand the appeal of buying something like this, even if it's investable, even if it's like something that you think might go up in value. I'd rather get something that'll go up in value that is something I can display and look at and enjoy. But this is not. This is not one of those items. So $865 on that one. Next up was a 12A Ben Kenobi gray hair AFA 80, again with that Clearview label up top. That one sold for $20.25, which it had 2 price stickers and it was punched, so that probably held the price back a little bit. But it's a 12A. 12A, and I don't remember the last time I've seen a 12A Kenobi with this kind of condition sell for that price. That seems low, if anything. But there were a lot of incredible items in this auction lot, so people could have, and it wasn't just Star Wars, by the way. There was some first shot prototypes. For the DC Superpowers line. And I was tempted to bid on one. So we're going to cover some of those when I do my loose graded video. But here's a really nice item. This is an item that is truly investable. I mean, this is a very tough to find special offer LP logo land speeder. And included inside are the baggies for C-3PO and R2-D2. Not many of these floating about. These are very, very, very tough to find. This was a qualified grade 80, AFA 80. So that just means it's no longer still sealed, but it's unused contents. That sold for $23.20. And I knew it was going to go for a lot. I was thinking like $2,000. I don't have enough data points for something like this to know what it would sell for. But I can tell you that it's rare. It's a very, very tough item to find. And it's like the Sonic Land Speeder, the remote control Sonic Land Speeder. That one and this one are kind of neck and neck in my mind. Probably the Sonic Land Speeder that's actually electronic and remote controlled. That's probably more rare than this, because I think that's a JCPenney exclusive. So either one you're going to be paying a lot of money for. Next up is an AFA 70 plus shrink wrapped 3-position laser rifle. Another really cool box, and it's just one of those kind of off the wall items that you just don't see that often. Great box art on it. on both the front and the back, really. 909 on that one. So, I mean, I would shudder to think what an AFA 85 for this would sell for if a 70 plus sells for 909. But it almost doesn't matter the grade when you get something like this. It's just so rare to find. We've seen a few this year, maybe one or two others that have sold, but it's pretty rare. This I thought was a pretty decent deal. This was the Empire Strikes Back packaging Darth Vader's Star Destroyer, and it's got the which I think it's only, isn't the Darth Vader Star Destroyer only on ESP packaging? They didn't make any later boxes, I don't think. I don't remember any Return of the Jedi box for this item. And I don't know why I've always enjoyed this item. This is one of those items that I'm shocked ever got made by Kenner. It is such a weird toy, that it doesn't really capture the scale of Darth Vader's Star Destroyer. And, they kind of tried to combine two things at once there. Why is the Death Squad commander hanging upside down? And, they don't really have it's not a big enough vehicle or big enough play set to really capture the Star Destroyer command deck. But it's got the hibernation or meditation chamber for Vader too. So I don't know why. I just love this item. I always have. And this was an AFA 80 and it sold for $26.50. And I would argue that that's a really good deal. I mean, that is a fantastic deal. I have anyway, seen them sell for this price, mint and sealed box, ungraded. I mean, or pretty close to it, like $2,000, $2,200. So I don't think that was a bad price at all for an AFA 80. That's a beautiful example. Next up was this Darth Vader collector's case. This was just the standard version of that. There are some rare examples that have like special offers that have baggies inside for certain characters. There's one that has Vader, Yoda, and Luke Bespin in baggies that are included in like a special offer version. I think there's another version that has IG-88 in there as well. I could be wrong on that. I don't know much about these different variations for the collector's cases, but that's a pretty cool one. This was an AFA 80. You could maybe argue it's a little overgraded. It's got some wear and tear to the actual sleeve that goes around. So that one sold for $5.80, which I thought was a pretty fair deal. It's probably a little overgraded, if you ask me. It's probably more like a 75 plus. Here's the B-Wing fighter. That was a qualified 75 plus. Speaking of 75 pluses, beautiful box art on that. I remember when I got this one as a child. I don't remember if it was birthday or Christmas or what, but I just was like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is awesome. And I played quite a bit with this one. $1,000 on that one. AFA 80s, mint and seal box. You can see them sell $1,200, $1,300 sometimes. Depends on where. But this was a cool item. This was the Tri-Logo box for the Rancor monster. Just awesome, awesome box art. And maybe a little bit more attractive to me because it's not so big. The US version of this packaging is so massive, where I feel like this one's a little more, it just feels more streamlined. It just really, bam, it just captures everything. I love it. Love the packaging. It's even got a Made in England sticker down there. This was an uncirculated 80 as well. So that some crazy person had a sealed case of these Tri-Logo Rancors and sent them in to AFA to be graded. And this one got an uncirculated 80, $11.30 on that one. That is a really awesome item. AFA 85 Ewok Village sold, and I was a little surprised this one came in as low as it did. It sold at $16.46 plus another $125 shipping. It's every bit of an 85. Beautiful condition. But what are you going to do with this? I mean, this is so big. I don't know where you got to have a big collection room for something like this, but that's a pretty good deal relative. I was thinking like $2,200 to $2,300, but that one did sell $16.46. Here's the item I bid on. I'm gonna fess on myself here. So it was an AFA 95 Revenge of the Jedi proof card for Forlom. I've bid $1,800 as the auction was ending, and I got outbid last second at $1,825. But I did some research and I looked on Hake's closed auctions, and there was an AFA 90 that sold for around $2,000. And I would argue this is an AFA 90 at best. It's really like an 85. You can see up here in the upper right-hand corner on that black racetrack there, There's no way this is an 85. You can see all the way down. It's got edge wear. And I don't know what's going on right here. I mean, this looks like a little crease there. So, you know, this, I don't know how this got a 95. No idea. This is not a 95 grade, in my opinion. You can see some stuff up there. I mean, all along the edge on this, especially right there, though. Directly to the right of Vader, Darth Vader, on that edge, it is wonky looking, man. And you can kind of see it a little bit right there on the front. So I thought it was overgraded. It got the 95. So I bid, after accounting for sales tax, I bid about $2,000, which is what the last sales price was for an AFA 90 for this one. So I thought that was a max I could go, because I'm not bidding 95 prices. And it ended up going for about a 90 grade, right? You know, who knows what the other bidder's max bid was. But if he, I don't think he overpaid necessarily at 1825. I bid 1800, but it's not a 95. I guarantee you, I guarantee you that if this person cracked this open and sent it back into AFA, it gets an 85. I guarantee it. No way that it gets a 95 again. So I don't know why it got a 95, because it's not. It's not a 95. I don't know if it's just been damaged from shifting inside the case, which it should not do. But I don't know how this person got a 95 on this because of that edge. And that could be lighting, but it's not. I think it's a 90. I think it's at best a 90, but really an 85. So somebody got a fair deal, I guess. And I bid on it. You know, I was willing to pay a little bit for it, but anyway, congrats whoever got it. Next up, we've got the big boy. We got two big boys. We've got the Top Toys Yoda mint on card, and as I expected, it did go for a lot of money. I think when I made my what to buy video, it was sitting at $600, and then before the auction was ending, it was around $4,100, and then it jumped up to $5,078 for the final bid, and that's right in line with where these have been selling. There was an ungraded example, as I mentioned, that my friend Dustin told me sold for about this price, and it was in similar condition. It maybe even a little better, but $5,078. You know, it's as rare as the hills. I didn't look up the population report on it, but I promise you that it's extremely rare. And then the Power of the Force version of Yoda was an AFA 80 plus. That sold for $2,508, and again, right in line with expectations. I was thinking $25,000 to $3,000. And so it kind of came in towards the lower end of that range, but that's a beauty as well. But a couple of really nice Yodas that are, especially the Top Toys. I mean, put me on record. I bet we'd never see another one of these on, unless the person who bought this tries to resell it. I bet we'd never see another one of these come up at auction on eBay ever again. I don't think you'll ever see another one. But I hope I'm wrong, but this is the first time I've ever seen one on eBay, and probably the last. So congrats whoever got it, because that was a beauty. That's all I really got for this video. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.